Bonaduce Life Coach at 1-800-252-1025. Or you can email us at lifecoach@kzok.com. Life Coach brought to you by Goldberg Jones Divorce for Men. Call 1-800-DIVORCE. Like I said, we'll also take your emails, lifecoach@kzok.com. We got any there, Sarah?
We've got a bunch of emails. I just want to say I was reading the new Stephen King book. It's a sequel to The Shining.
Yeah.
And there's so much talk about AA. Apparently, I don't want to have any spoilers here, but the little kid, Red Rob, grows up and he becomes an alcoholic.
Hey, have you checked that kid on the internet? I don't think it worked out for anybody. I'm kidding. I don't know anything about that guy.
So not the actor, but in the book, he tries to get rid of the sounds in his head by becoming an alcoholic. He drinks a lot. And they were talking about...
A lot of people do that. I tried that, specifically that.
Right.
Not kidding.
Well, I didn't realize in reading this that there's actually a book. Like, I always thought it was a euphemism, like the big book of AA. Like, there is literally a book.
Of AA?
Yeah.
It's all based around the big book.
But I thought it was just for those of us who don't have experience with AA.
So it's like throwing the book at them?
No, that's a real book. The big book of AA from...
who wrote it?
Bill.
Bill, yeah. Well,
Bill W.
everybody. Bill W. Whenever you hear anybody say you're afraid of Bill W's, which you'll hear a lot walking around, that's code for you an alcoholic. Are you drunk?
Wow.
Yeah, Bill W.
Well,
What was it, 1939 they started writing that book, or before that?
I think it may have been...
Before that, like 1913. Yeah. By the way, I kind of recommend it for people that don't have a problem drinking. It's an awesome book. It's really, really interesting.
Really?
Yeah.
I realize I'm learning lots of things because for those of us who haven't been to AA, you don't know anything about it. And you kind of think that it's just about God, and I thought it was a euphemism.
No, but what's interesting about that, and I don't know how much I recommend this, but I've been to 1,000 meetings before I realized I was an alcoholic or before I tried to join. A lot of them, if you find out who they say open, meaning they invite guests. You can go. Amy goes, I go to this one at the Shanty.
Are you going? Are you starting to go on a regular basis again?
It was really, I am starting to go again. Thank you for asking. But she goes with me because it's a very interesting experience. So she goes, they even outed her. She's so embarrassed. They said, are there any non-drunk members here? And I go, hi, I'm Amy. And she sounds just like that, by the way. And they said, hi, Amy. And everybody applauded. It was very cool.
So for our listeners who are considering this, do you recommend AA as
Oh, yeah. Beats the bejesus out of doing nothing, that's for sure. I've said to other people that if you take me, no matter how bad I want to drink, if I go to a meeting first, I'll get home just fine. Because you're going to hear from 25 people who've destroyed their lives. Maybe I should just get home and keep my head down and not do that again.
If you've got a question for Danny Bonaduce, Life Coach, about anything, relationships, work, drug testing, DUIs, 800-252-1025. You can call him now or email lifecoach@kzok.com. Remember, you can change your name.
And Sarah brought that one up, the drug testing one. People call me up a lot with panic, and I can usually I can help you with that. If you've got a test coming up for work, I can probably help you.
So I've got an email here from Angie in Woodinville. She writes to the Life Coach saying, I've been dating this guy for about a month, and a few weeks ago, he surprised me by telling me he'd planned a trip for Las Vegas for the two of us. A weekend in Vegas seemed to accelerate our relationship a little bit quickly, but I was cool with it. Sounded fun. But since then, he has hinted that he expects me to share in the cost of this trip, maybe even go halvesies. I didn't ask for this, and I don't think I should have to pay, but I also don't want this to be a relationship deal breaker. What are your thoughts?
Okay, here are my thoughts. What's this young lady's name again?
Angie.
Here's the one thing. I don't know in my world why you wouldn't want that to be a deal breaker. It should be, I think. Guy takes you to Vegas or any destination for, romance and a good time, so you could go, that's awesome. This is really going into the right destination where I wanted it to go, and then gives you the bill. That's unheard of. So what is her question exactly? Can you decipher it from there?
Well, she doesn't think that she should have to pay.
Right.
But she doesn't want it to be a deal breaker, because if she says to him, hey, I don't think I should have to pay for this trip, they're going to have a fight.
Thank you, sir. Here's the thing. Don't pay. There's your answer right there. Absolutely don't pay. I can't imagine a guy, because I have a hard time imagining a guy doing this. I would never do this. But I can't imagine, take it one step further, I can't even imagine him coming back for the money. He's said it. He's out there. I don't see him coming back saying, hey, remember I asked you for that money? I just don't see that happening. And you say, I don't want this to be a relationship ender. I think if he presses you for the money, then it should be a relationship ender. I don't like this. I find it's just it's a premonition of things to come. What other sneaky things he's going to do in your future? But since you don't want to break the relationship up, I say ignore it and see how many times he hassles you about that money. And then that's going to drive you away. And if he doesn't, maybe it's just a mistake on his part to come back. Where's the money? I'd like to see that money. I don't think he'll ask you again. So don't pay it and it will go away. Promise.
It does seem weird that if you say, hey, let's go away for the weekend, that if you plan the whole thing, it should be on you.
I've heard about this not happen to me personally, but I've seen it and heard about it. People invite each other to dinner all the time and then get separate checks. You'd be surprised where that ends and where it doesn't. So I think this young lady should not pay, and she should continue to not pay and see if he comes back around for the money. And I'm thinking that if he does, she'll go, okay, you were a big mistake.
800-252-1025. That's the number to call with any kind of problem you have. For Danny Bonaduce, life coach, lie about your name if you need to. Be anonymous if you would like to, or you can email lifecoach@kzok.com. Mark in Everett has sent an email. It said, my 12-year-old son is incredibly disrespectful to his mother. If I ask him to do a chore, like the dishes, he says, okay, Dad, with no drama. But if his mom asks him to do the same task, he'll throw a fit. He'll slam the dishes around, talk back to her, and argue with her. If I intervene, he'll straighten up, but I hesitate to get involved because I think the two of them should be able to work through their issues. How do we get this kid to act respectfully towards his mom? His behavior is starting to cause some serious tension in our family.
I don't know why you wouldn't want to intervene. Here is my suggestion. Drop the hammer on this kid. He's being disrespectful to your wife. Would you take that from anybody else in the world? I mean, imagine if somebody else completely and utterly disrespects your wife under any other circumstance, you would drop the hammer on. You'd say, do not ever speak to my wife. Why would you let a kid do that? Jump in line, let him know that's your better half, that expression comes for a reason, and tell him right away that will never happen again. Think of your mother and I as the same human being. The law does, and that young man, that behavior can never, ever, ever happen again. And your kid's going to do, because you just said he does what you say, and your wife's going to look very proudly upon you. Yeah, jump in on this right away. That's
seems to
crazy.
happen a lot.
It does.
It's something with like mom's the bad guy.
Mom's the bad guy. Well, some of us, and I was about to say, and it's my fault. It's our fault. But some of us as new parents kind of go, oh, I can make mom the bad guy? I didn't know. I can look at him, shrug, and wag my head like, I don't get her either, you guys. And it's really something unfair that fathers do.
Yeah.
They go ahead and make mom the bad guy. I do not recommend that. Ever, it's uncool and unfair. I only point out that sometimes I do that. And this dad, and good job that you know that's a problem, but intervene. Don't think I shouldn't intervene. Absolutely intervene, and think of it as any person in the world disrespecting your wife. You would not take it. Don't take it now.
So do you think that they have a sit down, the three of them, and say, hey, you can't talk to your mom this way, or does he just keep intervening with the arguments?
Oh, neither. Where you were starting there, you pull the kid aside. You have a man-to-man with this kid, and so that's my wife. Absolutely never speak to your mother like that. And then if it ever happens again, and by the way, that sit down should be serious. For him to disregard that should be a big deal. That's a big conversation you're going to have with your kid. And then then the three of you absolutely should have a conference. But don't do anything to make the mom's case weaker than it was. Make the wife's case stronger than it was. And then pull this kid aside and let him know that his future hangs precariously by how he treats your wife. That's not just his mom. That's your wife, and he needs to treat her as such.
Does he pull him aside by his ear?
I hate ear pulling. I hate ear pulling. Do they listen to you? Because ears come off, by the way.
Ow!
Ears will pop right off. You'd be shocked.
Just
Don't do that.
Holyfield?
Yeah. See? Yes. In that case, it's a snack.
Do an ear pull to me one time when I was in like third grade. And that, I mean, it gets you where they want you to go quick.
It does. But if there's any forward force and reverse force, ears do pop off. I wasn't kidding. As a martial arts instructor, you teach people to take the ear right off.
800-252-1025. Call that number now if you have a question for Danny Bonaduce, life coach. Jen in Federal Way, you're on with Danny.
Hiya, Jen.
Hi, Danny.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you for asking.
I had a situation that I just wanted an opinion on. My partner and I live together, and her sister and her family moved in last year, and her sister. Essentially, I would say she's a moocher.
Right.
Like she doesn't work. She sits on the sofa all day. She says it's really hard to take care of her kids who are all in school. We kicked out her husband because we found drug paraphernalia in the house, and he failed a home drug test.
By the way, can I say something, Jen? I'd like to point out, those home drug tests are genius. Jen wanted to know if anybody in her house was on drugs. She went to Rite Aid or whatever her pharmacy is and got one, which, by the way, I completely commend you on. The answer is right there for $24 or whatever. That answer is right there. So if anybody's wondering, oh, my kid's on drugs, my mama, is somebody on drugs in my house? Jen was smart enough to actually put an end to that question, go get the home kit, and it gave you an answer in, what, 10 seconds?
Yeah, awesome. Once he actually took it.
Why did he take it? Did he think he could beat it?
No, I don't think he did. I think he just kind of gave up and was like, whatever. Because, I found his drug paraphernalia and stupidly left it where I found it. And, of course, he got rid of it and was like, what drug paraphernalia?
You're so cool. Right? You are so cool getting that guy to take a test. That's awesome. So what else can I do for you?
Well, so my girlfriend and I are just fed up with the situation, and we're trying to figure out, how to end this. And she's told her sister, when the school year is up and the kids are out, you guys are gone. And I'm really, at this point, I'm over it. I want to speak my mind to them, but it's just one of those, I don't want to mess up my relationship with my girlfriend. I don't want to cause any strife for her and her family. I really don't know what to do.
Well, here's the thing you got to remember in these kind of situations. This applies for Jen and for anybody else. You're not the one causing the strife. The person in this case, being the moocher, is causing the strife. Not coming up with your set of the bills, not meeting your set of the bills or whatever it is that you're talking about that makes her a moocher. Borrowing money and not paying back, whatever makes you a moocher, you're not causing strife. They are. So if you want my opinion is very easy. You absolutely need to discuss it with them. And it seems like you have. That said, when the school year is over, you're out. Follow up on what you said. Make sure they're out at the end of the school year. And you know what? People go on with their lives and they'll forget this happened and they'll realize you were right. And everybody will be friends again. But right now, you got to stand by your word and say goodbye to these people at the end of the school year. Hey, thanks, Jen.
Good luck to you, Jen. If you've got a question for Danny Bonaduce, Life Coach, 800-252-1025. We've got a really sad email here from Rochelle in Seattle.
Okay.
In January of this year, I moved to Seattle while pregnant with my first child. A week later, I miscarried. I'm having a really hard time trying to deal with it, especially since I have no friends or family here. And now, after everything I've been through, my boyfriend broke up with me, leaving me flat broke, alone, and unbelievably hurt. How does one move on and deal with life after this?
This is, this is almost an unloaded question. By the way, my condolences on all of that. But your answer is right there in your question. How do you go on and face life? Well, the answer is face life. I've said this on the show. I didn't mean to make this a thing of constant conversation. But my mom, and I don't know how many miscarriages you had. I'm sure none's worse than the other. But my mom had 8 and has gone. She's 90 years old now and singing in bars. Life does go on. Here's the thing with that. And I really like when I'm doing the life coach thing because it's my favorite part of the show and probably my favorite part of the day. I like to have something great to say, something really clever, but I don't have one here. And here's the reason. Because somebody else said it for me when they said, time heals all wounds. They were so right. I mean, think about this. Any girl you ever broke up with or any guy you ever broke up with, you were thinking, I don't know, oh God, how am I going to live like this? My heart's broken. I'll never be the same ever. And sure enough, one day you are. God, when my kid, my daughter, is going through a broken heart, and you just want to look at her and go, this won't matter to you in a month, honey. You're 19, or in this case, you're 17. You want to, take her by the collars and shake her and say, this won't matter. Don't destroy your life and be a huge pain in my ass over something that won't matter to you down the road. But it doesn't. You got to give it time. That's the only way for something, especially something as serious to a woman as a miscarriage. What you have to do, and you're going to do it whether you want to or not, is give it time. And one day you're going to wake up in the morning and be able to bring things in perspective, be as sad as you were supposed to be while on the way to your job, your relationship. Yeah, move along. And by the way, if you want to, your boyfriend's a schmuck and you're better off without that guy. I don't like him at all. So just hang on and live life. All right. That is all the time we have for Danny Bonaduce, Life Coach. Bonaduce Life Coach is brought to you by Goldberg Jones Divorce for Men. Call 1-800-DIVORCE.